So, you want to hear how a group of way more talented mages were able to create a sneak peek for quest makers? Well, grab a stool and some ale and I'll tell you the tale. Hi, I'm Kaylee Lowe, the director and lead producer of the animated short film Quest Makers, which follows a trio of so-called adventurers as they travel across the kingdom, visiting all kinds of places, ranging from busy towns to frozen wastelands, and encountering a variety of characters. Also, they can find an artifact, each with their own desires. Dave thinks it can help him get his job back. Key believes it can turn him back into a dwarf, and Nash made a deal with a demon, but none of them know its true purpose. Originally, I had planned to work by myself on a different idea for my short film. It still would have had a high fantasy theme, but would have been a lot more serious and stuck to a more traditional short film. I got asked by another student, Eleanor Bavin, if I wanted to work in a group together. We both wanted to make a high fantasy themed film together, and we both had similar art styles, and we thought that, well, this would split the workload, meaning we could actually get this done in time. And we were both inspired by the tabletop game Dungeons & Dragons. Though condensing an entire adventure into a 3-minute film would have been possible, it would mean a lot of the story beats would have had to be removed. And we wanted to focus on the characters interacting and showcasing their personalities, like how Lord of the Rings is set over 3 books and films to immerse you in the world. After seeing the Adventure Zone, a Dungeons & Dragons campaign trailer, we decided, why not make a trailer? Similar to how a show would use a pilot episode. We could show how they met, what they're after, and each of the reasons for wanting the artifact, leaving with a cliffhanger ending to keep the audience hooked and let their imaginations run wild of what could have happened. I want to see more. When developing the idea, we went through multiple roadmaps, planning out what we wanted to happen in each scene and when it was going to happen. Originally, we wanted it to begin with them being thrown out of the tavern and freeze frame on each character before they hit the ground, and having a character intro, showcasing some events from their backstory in a montage, but instead we went for a more traditional hero's journey story arc. Once we had decided on the story, I made a script. This script went through several different revisions, changing the order of events that happened, adding new scenes, or completely removing some parts to make it flow better until we were happy with the narrative. After we had a clear idea for the narrative, we started working on the character designs. Our main inspiration for our character designs were from the animated shows like The Dragon Prince, The Legend of Vox Machina, and Gravity Falls. I was in charge of designing Dave the Mage, Nash the Orc, and the Demon. I started by designing their faces. For Dave, I tried him both wearing a mask and without a mask, though after getting some feedback from a couple of people, they preferred the one with a mask, as it looked more unique. After this, I then experimented with a couple of different costume designs, and taking elements from each design to make his final design in a turnaround. Nash was a bit harder to design. I wanted to make him look different from a stereotypical orc. He's meant to be a wimp, so instead of pointy ears normally seen in media, I gave Nash round floppy ears, similar to ones seen on some cows, so you'd have a softer silhouette. With the demon's design, we wanted to keep it simple but eerie, so he looked mysterious, like this wasn't his true form. For this, we looked at other animations that featured eldritch creatures like Adventure Time's Lich King. Once we had decided on the character designs and the narrative, I started thumbnailing the composition for each shot. Then I cleaned these up to make a storyboard to work as a guide for the animatic. The animatic was made to help with animating, so I could get an idea for the timing for key movements, sound effects, and voice acting. For the voice acting, I worked with a few students from the Media Performance course. Adam Waters helped me with talent casting. The actors who played the characters are Adam Waters, voicing Dave the Demon and originally Key, Alex Heald as Nash, and James Houston as Key and the Guard, while I voiced the Witch. I sent them the script and they recorded their lines themselves. They understood exactly what I wanted for the characters, so we didn't need to have to do any retakes. For the sound effects, I recorded some Foley in the Foley studio with Adam Waters. We wore boots so the sound would fit with the character's footwear when walking and running. We experimented with each of the different floor types to get different variety of footsteps. These included a sand pit to mimic snow, paper towels and confetti and bubble wrap for grass, bricks for the cobblestone paths, and wood for the tavern floors. For Keys Foley, we used a plushie and some bits of metal to mimic paws and claws. We also tried making some other sound effects like magic by moving a stick across a coat, chains, metal sheets and pipes for cell doors, and thuds with a punching bag. Some sound effects we got from Upbeat, a sound effects library, and tweaked them in editing to fit with the animation better. Before moving onto the production stage of our film, I made a shot list to help keep track of the production. This was color-coded so we knew who was working on what characters are needed for each shot, and their performances, and the stage of completion. I also made a background list to help Eleanor with creating the backgrounds. To animate my segments, I used Toon Boom Harmony to animate each scene, and then importing them into After Effects for camera movements, intro cards, particles and colour correction to heighten the quality of the animation. Although I had previously worked with Toon Boom on other projects, this was my first time actually using Toon Boom properly, using the tools to work more efficiently, with the node tool being really useful during the production. For the highlights, I would either use a pale orange or a bright orange depending on if there was a scene with flames or natural lights, though one scene does use a cyan to show something isn't right, while for the shading I used a dark purple to give a magical feel. My role in the animating process was to animate Dave, Nash, the demon, and for some scenes the creature. I started by working on the easier scenes first to get a better feel for the characters and leaving the harder, longer scenes till last, as well as the beginning and end scenes so that they would have a higher quality look to them. I found animating Dave to be really fun. His design is nice to animate, as I could exaggerate his movements, making him more expressive. Nash was a bit harder to animate. His design was a lot more complicated than Dave's, mainly the face though. It was fun to try to do lip sync with tusks. It was good practice. To help Eleanor out, I took on the role of designing the backgrounds. I used her sketches as a base, changing a couple of items and cleaning up the lines. I then added the colour and highlights and shading in Toon Boom. Once Eleanor had finished her animations for the guard and key and Kira had added the base colour, Eleanor would send me the image sequence so I could add the details on Toon Boom. Chloe did the same process for the creature animations that she did. This meant we could keep it all in the same style. After compiling all the assets together, I imported them into After Effects and added some effects like particles to look like dust or snow. I added some colour correction which allowed me to use camera filters to make the colours more vibrant and make it look more like it was nighttime. For the intro and tavern scene, I used the camera tool, making the layers 3D and linking them to a null object to zoom in and out of the scenes. After this, I then edited all the visuals and sound together in Premiere Pro, tweaking the audio so it's synced with the visuals. Overall, I think that the animation has turned out well. Some areas could do with a bit of refinement, but learning to use Toon Boom Harmony has been a great experience. I feel like I have been able to learn and develop so much. I hope to continue to improve my skills and make more animations in the future. But for now, I hope you enjoyed this little tale and stick around for more tales and ballads. If you want to see some more secrets, check out our socials and website where you can see some more of the concept art and behind the scenes.